What's going on, everybody? Aidan from Birds vs. Boys here, coming to you with the game day reaction show for the Eagles-Chargers game. Eagles fall to the Chargers 27-24 on a last-second field goal. As you know, maybe from the weeks before, Kevin and I are splitting ours up. So you will get his reaction from the Cowboys' loss to the Broncos, and then my reaction to the Eagles' loss from the Chargers. Not the best weekend for this podcast, but the best way to learn about them. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you're alerted right away. And subscribe on Apple Podcasts as well, where those will be just one big episode combined. But back to it. Eagles lose. Definitely not going to be as cheery as the Lions win, which was very comfortable last week. But I think there were some good things that the Eagles could build on from Sunday. So I thought it was funny. Everywhere in the league yesterday, you thought you knew who were the contenders, who were the pretenders, and then everything just flipped yesterday. And some teams, we expected it to just be a bad week of good teams beating bad teams and teams that we thought to be good. But to some of the teams that they lost to yesterday makes you question if they're good or if the bad teams might actually be good. It's just up in the air. It's crazy. One of the weirdest weeks I remember in the NFL in recent memory. But that's what makes it ironic that I think everything we knew and we thought about the Chargers and the Eagles was confirmed on Sunday. So, like the Chargers, they have a great quarterback. They have an aggressive coach. Their run game on defense is subpar. They have a banged up secondary, so you can throw on them a little bit. On the opposite side, the Eagles are trying to build on running the ball like they did last week. They believe in Jalen Hurts enough, but he still makes more plays with his legs than with his arm. Davonta Smith is shifty, and the defense can't get off the field. That's all the things we thought about these teams going in, and that's exactly what happened on Sunday. So I have a coin here if you're watching on YouTube, because I didn't know where to start if I wanted to start with the good or the bad. And it kind of boiled down to the good was the offense and the bad was the defense. So we'll see here with this coin what we start with. We'll do heads is the good, it's the offense, and bad is the defense, and that will be tails. So let's see what we got here. So we've got tails. So we'll start with the defense. Justin Herbert was 32 of 38 for nearly 400 yards and 3 total touchdowns. He becomes the 5th quarterback this season to complete 80% of his passes or better against the Eagles defense. That ties the record of the 2015 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, except that was over the entirety of a 16-game season. The Eagles have done it in half the time, and 7 QBs have been over 70%. It's going to sound very similar to the rant that I was giving when we lost to the Raiders and Derek Carr, because here are the stats. Great post here by Brandon Deeg. I looked it up because I thought he hit the nail on the head was the problem. Carr, Mahomes, Dak, and Herbert's combined numbers against the Eagles defense: 108 for 128, 1,195 yards, and 12 touchdowns. The numbers are staggering. The Eagles defense is in jeopardy of having the highest completion percentage against them in NFL history. They're at 75.5%. And the way things are trending, we're almost halfway through the season. 7 quarterbacks over 70, 5 over 80. They could break this record. It's scary to think about. Here's the issue. And it was an issue going into the game, just like we talked about. Our defense and Jonathan Gannon's defense really is so worried about getting beat over the top on plays and allowing that home run deep shot that they are conceding everything in front of them, keeping it in front of you. So the quarterbacks are just taking what's in front of them and what the defenses are giving them. So it's singles. They're not hitting home runs, but it's singles. And it's back to that death by a million cuts. They're playing that bend but don't break style where they'll give up yards, but they don't want to give up the big play and break. But it's not bend versus break anymore when your quarterback going against you is 32 for 38 for 400 yards. It's not bend. It's not break. You are being shattered. It's awful to watch, and it's painful because they just can't get off the field. It's the second time this season that they have played a game where the opposing offense did not punt. And the only defensive merit that you could point to yesterday was that they got off the field on a key 4th and goal, but that was after a 98-yard drive. It's similar to the Raiders game where they had an interception on the first possession. But that's after the Raiders went 94 yards down the field and then continued to do it the entire day. It is so bad to watch. I know a lot of people have been talking about Jim Schwartz, and was he perfect? Absolutely not. But we really lack his aggressiveness right now. We just sit in this soft zone where it's pitch and catch for the receiver and the quarterback. Keenan Allen had 12 receptions on 13 targets. So Justin Herbert was just passing. It was like a 7-on-7 for them. It's just like touch football out there. It's like we got Thanksgiving coming up. Everyone's gonna go home and play a turkey ball. That's what it looked like for Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen on an NFL field. And it's not the first time it's happened this season. So I don't know what they do, but they have to change this up. But we're halfway through the season, so it's not changing. We know who they are. And I think opposing defenses or opposing offenses know all about it. Jonathan Gannon, I don't know I don't know how he makes it past this year. And I know we have said that he doesn't have the personnel to play the defense that he wants to play. Okay, that's fair. I get that. I want to talk about the draft coming up later in the show, because just looking over the scoreboard, we do have the 3 first-round picks. I think a lot of us are coming to the same strategy with what we should do with those 3 first-round picks. Carson's getting pretty close to that 70 to 75% range. So I want to talk about that, but and possibly going all defense into the draft in the first 3 picks that look like they're going to be high picks. But still, you'd think you would make the adjustment and just say, I'm not going to be held liable. No, that's like everything in life. Now that I work insurance is liability. You don't want to be liable when something goes wrong. So if you're Jonathan Gannon and you're saying, well, this is what they were given to me. This was the pieces that I had. So I'm trying to work with it, and I'm not using my scheme. I'm using another scheme that fits them better. Who cares, man? You're in risk of losing your job after 1 year. This was a guy we thought he was going to walk away after 1 year to be a head coach. Who would hire this guy if you're just watching how teams methodically move the ball down on him on the field every single week? We make these guys, and I love Justin Herbert, but we're making all these guys look like Hall of Famers. And it's crazy now to think like the Mahomes we saw in week 3, like those are the Mahomes performances you'd expect. But even the Chiefs offense isn't that great, and we still allowed it to happen. Why wouldn't you just use your system? Be more aggressive. Don't listen. If the ship is sinking, make sure you're not the reason for a hole in the side of the ship that's making it sink. You have to adapt. This guy, I don't know how he survives this year if they continue on the historically bad pace that they are on. And it's not like you have there's been years past where you look at that secondary for the Eagles and they were just dreadful. We've sat through some awful secondaries. We sacrificed it all for Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown back in the day, back in the early 2000s, because we really haven't had good secondaries yet. And with injuries, we've had even worse secondaries. But this isn't an awful secondary. Darius Slay's been great. Stevie Nelson is, he's above average. He's been what he is. Avonte Maddox is having the best season of his career, and we trust Rodney McLeod on the back end. So most of the pieces are at least trustworthy, even if they're not elite. So what is the big deal about changing this up and being more aggressive and just trying something new? The strength of this defense is the pass rush, and there's no chance for the pass rush to even get there because the ball is out of the quarterback's hands so quickly, and he's just pitching and catching with his receivers, just taking what's given to him. Speaking of the pass rush, we have to talk about it because it once again played a key role in a bad way. Derek, it's always him, Barnett, with an offside on 3rd and 6, makes it 3rd and 1. The Chargers convert and they go down the field. It's always him. I'm so sick of it. We're all sick of it. It's so funny because there's very few things where everybody's on the same page. The fans are rightfully fed up with him. And now the coaching staff, we saw Nick Sirianni before where he was like, it's always him. It's literally, and now on Sunday, what you saw was the players are fed up with it. If you watch on that offside where they get called for a flag, Fletcher Cox and Josh Sweat just dropped to their knees. Like they are fed up with it as well. And it's rare that everyone's on the same page. Coaching staff, players, fans, media, but everyone was on the same page with Derek Barnett. Even in the height of when Ndamukong Suh was committing all those like dirty plays and having a bunch of unsportsmanlike and roughing the passer penalties, you still put up with it just because of how talented a player he was. Derek Barnett has more penalties than sacks in his career. So he just does dumb stuff and there's no benefit to it. It's not like a high risk, high reward guy. He's just bad. This has been an awesome opportunity for him to earn a contract extension because unfortunately Brandon Graham is out. So his snap count is higher. And the only guys that's taken advantage of it is Josh Sweat. He's been phenomenal on the other side and is earning his extension. He's filled the role nicely. But Derek Barnett has been terrible. And if Brandon Graham did not get hurt, Derek Barnett would not even be in the starting rotation. It'd be Sweat and Graham at this point because everyone's so sick of Barnett. It's a shame that the Dolphins won. They now have 2 wins. They're 2 clear of the Lions, and they beat the Texans, which makes it even worse because the Texans have 1 win, and they would now hold a tiebreaker with Miami. So the dream of Kavon Thibodeaux is slipping through my fingers as I feel it. I'm cuckoo for Kavon, and I just don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off. Still sitting there with a top 5 pick. Thankfully, the Jaguars won and the Jets won last week. So some of these bottom dweller teams are still getting wins, which really helps our cause. But my dream was to just fill Kavon Thibodeaux with Derek Barnett and forget this nightmare season for Barnett ever happened. My dream is dying, but it's still there. We're close. We need some help. It's slipping away, just like the Eagles season and chances at the 7th seed are slipping away. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, let's flip this coin here. I know it landed on tails. Let's do heads. Let's talk about the offense. What did we say last week were the 2 keys? We had people who were going to be here next season. You wanted them to play well. And 2, you wanted to see people grow and learn as the season progressed. All right, well, let's look at it. Davonta Smith had a great game. Guy who's going to be here next year. Nick Sirianni, guy who we think is going to be here next year, committing to the run. The Eagles ran the ball 39 times. 3 people had 10 plus rushes. That's fantastic. That's what you want to see. They learned from last week. They did so well on the ground last week. And then you went into a matchup against the Chargers front 7 that has been bottom of the league. I think they were 28th in rush defense coming into the league. And you were 39 rushes to 17 passes. That means you're learning. That means you're growing. That means you're helping your quarterback. And you saw it work for the most part. It worked out. They did well. It was over 4 yards a clip for both Boston Scott and Jordan Howard. And then obviously Jalen Hurts, I believe he was like 10 for 60 as well. So he was almost 6 yards a clip when he took off and ran. So that's what we wanted to see. Grow, learn, adapt. Those were all the key words that we were using last week when we were like, yeah, the Lions are a bad team. You're going to be able to do what you want. The key to a team that's improving, that's a good team, when you're faced with competency, which the Lions lack and the Chargers don't, like, then it was just nice to see them matched up with a team who's considered good, considered a playoff contender, and you beat them. Well, you didn't beat them, but the offense did well. You lost because of your defense. So that's what I wanted to highlight. And I know there's a viral video of Jalen Hurts missing Davonta Smith on the key 3rd and goal right at the end of the half. And yeah, it was a bad ball. You got to make that throw. He's like doing some weird back pedal that absolutely, I have no idea what the plan was there. And you can see Davonta Smith pointing up. He's pointing up and saying, get the ball up, like let it float so I can get there. Because he beat his man and he did all day. It was fantastic. But are those throws that an NFL quarterback needs to make? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Let's meet in the middle. This is our whole problem in society is we can't meet in the middle. Like, have a talk about the vaccine. You can't meet anybody in the middle. It's just a free-for-all of just hate. So with Hurts, I think we can meet in the middle, though. There are throws that he's not making that he needs to make as an NFL quarterback. But he has also showed, for a young quarterback, tremendous leadership, tremendous poise. He makes amazing plays with his legs. The myth about his arm not being strong enough clearly isn't the case. I think that as the weeks go on, he continues to improve and look better and better. And I think they are now playing to his strengths, which is making him more comfortable. He led a game-tying drive in the 4th quarter and hit Davonta Smith for a touchdown. You'd like to see that for the next 5 years. So when I think about like the Jalen Hurts thing, and he had like a few incredible plays with both his legs and his arm. He had a key 3rd down where he did a somersault to convert the 1st down. that's one of those things where you look at it and everybody thinks they could be a professional athlete, or thinks like if something went different when if they didn't hurt their knee on their JV team when they were 15, that they would be like in the pros now. We all have that dream. That play is evidence right there that there are us and then there are NFL athletes. And Jalen Hurts exhibited that when he did that somersault for a first down, because if that was any of us, we would look like the bent neck lady from Haunting of Hill House by the time we were done with that somersault, and probably wouldn't have converted the third down. So I think he's good. I look at Malik Willis from Liberty, who has like similar things. He makes plays with his legs. He's got a big arm. Um, uh, he's been compared to Michael Vick, but he's still raw. So it's like, do you want to start over with Malik Willis? Do you believe in him that much that you would do that? Or do you want to help out Jalen Hurts? Because yesterday, they don't lose that game because of Jalen Hurts. They lost that game because the defense can't get off the freaking field no matter what. So I think what people have been saying, and I totally agree, invest all of those picks, at least the first round picks, or all of them. Honestly, do all of them into the defense. Improve this defense. Some teams have tried that strategy lately and it's worked out for them. The Panthers are one. Their problem is offense. Terrible quarterback situation. You should be on the phone with them saying, you can trade up to take Malik Willis or the kid from Ole Miss or whoever you believe in, but we're taking your second round pick and we're loading up on picks here, because their quarterback situation is terrible. But they're one of the teams that loaded up on defense, drafted all defense in a draft, and they have a really good defense now. And the Cowboys just did the same thing, invested all defense, and they've already seen improvements on their defense with like Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs the year before. They did a great job. So I think the Eagles should employ that strategy, give Jalen Hurts another year to grow, to learn, surround him with some more weapons, which would be nice, because I love Davonta Smith and I think Dallas Goedert is earning that contract extension as well. But we need to grow on that. Give him another year to learn and adapt, and it seems to be coming together for both him and Sirianni, and they seem to be on the same page. So I hope that continues, and I would give him another year. But I think I part of the reason to kind of wrap this up and bring this full circle, heads to tails, offense to defense, is one is costing the other when you're drafting. And this was a great tweet by Les Bowen. One reason the Eagles defense is in crisis, the defensive first or second round picks in the last 9 drafts are Marcus Smith, Eric Rowe, Derek Barnett, and Sidney Jones. So that's only 5. Eagles haven't drafted a defender in those rounds since 2017. A trickle-down effect from the wide receiver draft do-overs. I think like that, if you could boil down what's going wrong into one single tweet, it would be this right here. I thought that was fantastic. They're trying to correct the mistake that they made. You draft JJ instead of DK. So then you have to go back and you have to go receiver in the first round the following year. And the following year, you miss out on Justin Jefferson because you take Jalen Reagor again. Reagor on Sunday had 1 reception for -6 yards. He is a bust. There is no point in arguing about it. And then you had to correct it again by drafting Davonta Smith this year. So you keep trying to correct this mistake that you keep having, and it's costing you from being able to invest in your defense. Now your defense is terrible. And now you have to go back and just see what you can do in the draft to try to load this defense up as quickly as possible, because they are not 1 or 2 pieces away. You can make the argument that the Eagles on offense are 1 to 2 pieces away if they had a healthy offensive line, but they are not 1 to 2 pieces away on defense. They're about 9. They're about 9 pieces away. You want to count like Darius Slay and like Josh Sweat. And I love Fletcher Cox, but I mean, he's 31, 32, so he's not in your future plans. But Jesus, you're about 9 pieces away on defense. It's that bad. So that all brings it full circle. We've learned about these teams and we were able to confirm about these teams what we thought and what our theories were, which we couldn't do for the rest of the league. When you see the Bills score 6 points against the Jaguars, when you think the Ravens are going to lose to the Vikings and many, many more upsets, the Cardinals, who you think might lose and the 49ers might get back on track because they're healthy, go out and win with Colt McCoy. The Rams, who we thought were a superpower, lose to the Titans without Derrick Henry. And then the Bengals, who were playing so well, got absolutely destroyed by a team in chaos in the Browns. But with the Eagles and Chargers, I think we were able to affirm everything that we thought about them. And we'll see where we go from here for the Eagles. Going into the season, I thought the Eagles were going to play a lot of games like this, where this was a highly entertaining game. Loved it. That 4 p.m. under the lights game just hits different. I think people, the players themselves especially, get up for it. I think the crowd gets up for it a little bit more. I thought the broadcast was fantastic. There's just like that special atmosphere with that 4 p.m. under the lights game. And it was a close game. It was highly entertaining. And in the end, the other team was just a little bit better than the Eagles. I thought we were going to play a lot of these games, so I'm not heartbroken over the loss. It's the days like when you go to Las Vegas and just get shit pumped by the Raiders that makes you question things. But you can't be too upset about this Chargers game. It was a winnable game for a team that doesn't know how to win yet and is a few pieces away from being able to truly compete. You see the Chargers, like they are in full compete mode. Like this is the year that they should be making the playoffs. And with the down year the Chiefs are having, they should be winning that division. I think they're on the right track. I think they have the right coach who, hey, that's not analytics. I think he's just like a wild, wild West cowboy where he just does not care. That dude does not care at all. They had a 45-yard field goal, and he went for it on 4th and 1 at the end of the game. That could have been a potential disaster to give the ball back to the Eagles and have them go down the field and have the possibility for a field goal. He's wild. Analytics, that's not analytics. That's just being the most aggressive human being who's ever coached an NFL team. But I think we saw who they were. I think we saw who the Eagles were. They're a few pieces away. They are a team without a lot of depth. They are going to compete. They fought hard. That's what you love to see. They have bright spots, but they also have painful moments. That's kind of where we saw with a young team and a team without a lot of talent. So where we go from here, Broncos next week. I'm really excited about that game because I'm not a believer in the Broncos, but maybe I'm wrong based on that performance against the Cowboys, where that game was 30-0. If you looked at the score, you might say to yourself, oh, well, the Cowboys kept it kind of close. No, this was Fox taking the game off of the local broadcast station because the game got so out of control. So maybe I'm wrong about the Broncos, but it'll be another good test here for the Eagles. We're seeing a bunch of teams that, they aren't the Super Bowl contenders like the Tampa Bay Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So these are like winnable games, but they're like 50-50 games, like Chargers. Yet we think they're pretty good. I don't know if they'll win a Super Bowl. The Broncos started hot and kind of came back to earth, law of averages. Now, I believe they're right at 500, which feels about right. And then you get into your division games later here in the stretch of the schedule as well, with 2 games against the Giants and Washington, who we know aren't good, but we want to see, like, we don't want to be in their grouping. We want to make sure that we're better than them as well, aside from draft order status is the only thing that makes you want to lose to them. So we'll see. Like, this is going to be a great last 2-month test for this unit to see who Jalen Hurts is. Can we trust him to be your franchise quarterback? Should Nick Sirianni be the quarterback or the coach going forward? I thought it was his best called game since week 1. We hope he continues to build. And will Jonathan Gannon be thrown out of the city by a mob with pitchforks and torches? We're all going to find out in this next 2 months. It should be really exciting. Heartbreaking loss, annoying way to lose because they played so well. But we'll see. A lot to grow on, a lot to build on. It should be a really interesting November, and we'll see if they can get some wins. So we'll see you next week. Again, remember to like the video, subscribe. That way they'll pop up right away as soon as you have them. And download the podcast on Apple Podcasts as well. So I will kick it to Kevin, and he will talk to you guys about the Cowboys debacle against the Broncos. And I will see you next week as the Eagles take on the Broncos.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach.
That it?
Be the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.